we're really moving into a different place when we start talking about intuition and intuitive abilities and psychic abilities, moving so far away from the old school woo-woo into a very grounded version of intuition. I do believe that just the human race has definitely survived all these years because of intuition. So I see it as a built-in survival mechanism. And we talked about that a little bit yesterday. Same with hunger, same with anger, same with all the other bodily, visceral feelings that we have, right? So this is no different. Well, it's different in the information that it sends and gives us, but it's no less important or, worthy of a pedestal. I think it is our most unexplored and unevolved and overlooked process or system that we have in our bodies. And so my job is to really just bring that out and talk about it in a very grounded way and talk about it in a very doable way. So today, or yesterday, we talked about the gut. Today, we are talking about your heart. So I wore my t-shirt just for you. Follow your heart. And then the rest of it says, it knows the way. Ooh, it knows the way. It does know the way. So this is the area that I am a self-proclaimed expert in, for sure. I focus a lot, or majority of my work, on the heart space, on the heart chakra. I am an empath, and that's what empaths are. We are heart-centered, emotionally based people. And so the information that we receive, we process it through our heart space in the ways of emotions. So our emotions are our biggest guidance system. And so yesterday we talked about the gut, and we talked about receiving that information on that level. And so those physical responses, or the information data getting, coming back to a person, is through physical sensations. So they get their intuitive hit, and then it's translated through physical sensation. That's the guidance system for people who are more gut oriented. And so they feel it viscerally in their gut. They also get other physical sensations like the hair standing on the back of their neck, goosebumps. There's all kinds of different physical signs and signals about what's going on and the information that you're receiving intuitively, right? And so the heart is another component of that. And I talked yesterday about how our bodies have, various systems running, coinciding and collaborating with each other. And the heart space, to me, is the center. The heart space is, I would say it's the seat of the soul. That's a common term that we use to describe it. It's the central location. So here's how I see it. I see that intuition happening, the intuitive hits, the information coming in first, at least with me, and how I experience it through the heart. And then, remember the vagus nerve? I think it either goes up or down or stays. The people who are more heady and more third eye or crown chakra oriented, they'll process it through that space. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow. And then the people who are more physically wired, that information is going to go from their heart to their gut. And then that they will receive those signals on a physical level as to what's going on. And then those of us who are empathic or empaths, that information basically stays right there. And then we have an emotional response. And then that's our signal for the data and the information. And that's how we process. So I see that we have three processors. You know, we talk about the gut being the second brain, the brain being the primary brain, and then the heart. I see it as the heart is the primary processor, and then we have brain number one and brain number two. And they all work cohesively, and all of us are pretty much wired to do all three, or however many processes there are to interpret that intuitive information that comes to us. But I think that we are more prolific or practiced in one area versus another. Like I am just more emotional, and so that's my go-to. And then some people are very um, intellectual, and we're going to talk about the difference between rational, intellectual, and those upper chakras tomorrow. There's a fine line, but I always talk about how our everyday five senses, the senses that we all understand, sight, sense, smell, taste, hearing, those are all completely and totally acceptable. And I do believe that they work in concert with the sixth sense, our intuition, and the information is processed through our five senses. So there's nothing that is isolated. There is nothing that is compartmentalized. This is a system that works cohesively and together in unison, a lot of different moving parts. And so those moving parts, though, I think are going to be heightened or a little bit different for each of us, kind of like our personalities, right? Not one size fits all, and there's no right and there's no wrong. We are just gratefully wired to receive information and then process it in all kinds of different ways that works for us. So that's the good news, folks. That's really good news. Now, I just happen to be an empath, and so I do all of my work and all of my focus around that area. But of course, I include the others because, like I said, I don't think we're all just one aspect. You know, I think the heart would be the primary, and then for me, and then it goes here second, and then gut third, right? But I like to keep it here because I trust the emotional response more than anything else, because I know that my brain can play tricks on me. I know that I can have a bias about things, and so I can turn the script here. But the energy around the heart space is just so much more reliable to me as feedback, data, and information, right? And then the visceral stuff, I don't get so much, you know? I do get the goosebumps and I get the hair raised, but I don't necessarily get those real hard gut feelings that a lot of people talk about. I understand it, and I know that other people do, most definitely. I see people with a lot of stomach issues as a result of that. And I think that is part of the process. A lot of information going on in there, and maybe the environment isn't conducive. There's just too much happening. So there's that part of our gut biome is just being so explored right now. And I love the science. I love the data that backs up everything that I am talking about. So before we go into a deep dive in the heart, please go ahead and let me know that you're here. Type in your name and say hello. I'm not seeing anything on my Melon app yet, so I'm going to go ahead and look on my phone. I want to make sure that I am of service to y'all all, and so that you can ask your coaching questions and get guidance. Okay. A thumbs up would be cool. I see that we are definitely live. I'll just keep checking and looking. I want to make sure that you're getting what you need out of this and that you're spending your time wisely. Okay, the lighting in here is a little funny, but let's get into it. So I love talking about the heart. And I have a few exercise exercises for you. Yay. Okay, now I'm getting some feedback. Thank you. I see people saying hi, thumbs up, little hand wave. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. So I'm going to describe how the heart space works. And a lot of you know that I do a lot of heart chakra work. So that's going to be integrated in this conversation as well. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about the upper chakras, the third eye, the crown, and the brain, and the pituitary, and how all of this works together. Another amazing system. And then by the end of the week, you're going to know which system you favor, which system is your kind of default and go-to, right? And then the great thing is that once we understand our bigger processors, then we can really develop them and grow them and tune into them and play with them and have this beautiful relationship with our processing system. And then we can gather more information and we can learn how to target and go get information via channeling and all the other things that go with this. So this is the introductory biology part of things. And then the biology, of course, spills over into the metaphysical. So here we go, up the body. Yesterday was gut, and knowing that it's all connected, right? There is no separation. So I'm sure that there's cause and effect happening all throughout the vagus nerve here all the time. And so I'll show you how that connects. All right. So let's go into it. The heart, the seat of the soul. That's what I love to call it. It does know everything. So this is the interesting part about the heart. The heart is an electromagnetic organ. It is radiating, emitting electromagnetic pulses and energy. And all of you know, I say all the time, everything is energy. Our heart space is emitting that energy. So imagine if all of us are emitting energy from our heart space and into our auras and our bodies, and we're passing each other, we're going to pick up on that. So what is my heart space saying to you, or how is it affecting you, and all the way around? So we're in constant contact with other people's energy, and that's kind of the basis of the work that I do with empaths, knowing that we're always in contact with OPE is what I call it, other people's energy, and how to manage that, how to keep our own energy healthy, and how to give back the other people's energy, and how to recognize whose is whose and what's what and where does it go, right? So there's a lot to that. But it's through the heart space that we pick up that electromagnetic energy from other people. And so there's just a whole lot of conversations going on, right? And so that's why it's easy for me to see that the heart is the receptor place. The main receptor goes in, and then we process wherever we process. So here it is. It comes in through the heart, the main receptor. And then it's the vibration that we feel, and then that vibration is translated through our favored processors up here, down here, or in the middle. Hopefully this is making sense to you guys. And so because everything is energy, and that we're getting that electromagnetic energy, that energy is chock full of data, information, and past, present, future. I mean, it's multidimensional. So we're in this constant state of sensing or being in that energy, in addition to sending out our own energy. Oh, and there's so much power with that when we realize the energy that we harness, and especially with regard to the heart space. and knowing that we are not only receptive, but we are transmitters. When we come into that knowing, and this is what I call the enchanted empath level, then we intentionally and purposefully beam out or project certain energies, positive energies, to be a healing presence on the planet. Now that goes into everything I coach about and the whole reason I do my work. You know, the intuition is amazing. The healing work is just as amazing. So keep that in mind as you go along and following this process about how important and how amazing this heart space is. It's a healing center. It's the hub for everything. All right. And so I definitely talk about leading with the heart. There's a lot of phrases that we use. There's lead with the heart, follow with the heart. The heart knows the way. There are so many famous people who are huge advocates of the intuition and the heart space. Oprah is one. Richard Branson is one. Oh, let's see. Albert Einstein is definitely probably the biggest proponent of the heart space and intuition. And he also talks a lot about the imagination and the upper that we're going to talk about tomorrow. So the empaths are most definitely heart-centered. They are sensitive to emotions, and then they're responsive. That's how we process. Whereas the gut, the more physical, grounded people are more visceral. And so they physically have a response, and that's how they process. And I think we all do a little bit of each, like I said, the heart being the primary processor. Okay, so let's talk about, and feel free to chime in and ask questions if you have them, because a lot of this information you may not have heard before, and it might hopefully explain some processes that are happening with you in your body. We've all had those intuitive hits, those times where we just knew something and maybe we didn't act on it. And then later we got the validation or proof that, oh my gosh, I knew that. I should have, so my whole dance here is to avoid that and just follow our intuition. Just trust it. Trust the gut response. Trust the emotional response. Trust the heady response. And we'll go more into that tomorrow. And when we talk about the chakra system and the heart, I always say that it is the bridge between our humanity and our divinity. And if we look at the chakra system and we look at the systems that we're talking about today, they match, they coincide with the chakras. So the lower chakras, the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus are energy centers based in our human condition. The feelings of being rooted, grounded, having enough money, having intimacy, feeling connection with others, family connections, and then feeling our personal power and our solar plexus. All of those coincide with the enteric nervous system that we talked about yesterday and our humanity. So every human being has these in common. And then as we move up the body system and the chakras, we land at the heart. The heart to me is the bridge. And then we have the uppers. We have the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And the heart is the thing that unifies, or the energy or the center that unifies the two, so that we are these spirit beings having this human experience. Both sets are hugely important to our survival, to our well-being, to our evolution, right? So there's the heart, the connector, the bridge between our humanity and our divinity. And it is also the connector. I just see the heart as a bridge. It is a connector to source energy. It's where our spirit lives, it's where our soul is, and it's where we are always innately connected to source energy. And some people call that God, some people call that divine intelligence, some people call that great spirit. Whatever that intelligence that permeates the universe, the well-being, the beauty, the love, whatever phrase you call it, it is connected to your heart space. So it's just a thought away, a touch away. It's always there. That's why, the ancient wisdom talks about the heart being wise, the heart having all of the information, the heart having this divine intelligence. It's because we're all connected to the one source, which again, goes back full circle and speaks to the spiritual thought or belief that we are all one. We're all connected to the same thing. We call it different things, we have different labels for it, but it's all the same stuff, the same energy. So our heart is a direct line to universal intelligence. It is highly intelligent. And there are heart qualities associated with the heart, obviously, right? And those include feelings of love, compassion, empathy, care, concern, honor, valor, dignity, gratitude, joy, peace. And those qualities are our emotional guidance system to our highest self, to our higher self. So there's a lot going on here with this heart space, right? It leads us to ultimately to the higher places, our higher self, our higher consciousness, our higher connection with the universe, where the answers are. So to me, this is the best source of guidance on the planet, in the universe, and that we are so blessed to be wired with this, right? So of course, I make it my life work to really understand it and tap into it as much as possible, because it is the clearest, easiest, fastest way to gather information and guidance. And I see so much suffering on the planet. And of course, I have my times too, where we maybe have the illusion of being disconnected to that source. We have blockages where I don't think we're ever really disconnected, but we have blockages to where we can't see our connection. We can't feel our connection. We lose our mojo. We don't feel it. We feel lost. We feel anxious. We feel confused. Fill in the blank. That is a disconnect from our heart space. And so I'm all about working on that heart space and keeping that connection as much as possible, and remembering that connection. And that's my motto for my work. Remember your inner brilliance. Remember it. We all have it. It's never not there. It's just that we lose sight of it and we block ourselves with our thoughts, with our fears, with the negative circumstances that are around us. But the heart supersedes all of it. The wisdom of the heart is so amazing. It reminds us that we're fine, we're great, we are completely taken care of, And so when I get stressed out or I get into a fear place, it's easy for me to just remember, it's like, well, wait a minute, you have gotten through worse things than this, and clearly the universe supports you. There's a lot of love here for you. You have everything you possibly could want or need. Maybe you just need some physical answers on the action to-dos. And so I don't go up here and process the to-dos anymore. I wait to hear the guidance from on high to show me the way or to whisper it to me. So I'm very practiced at listening and hearing and tuning into the heart space. And we're going to do some exercises today to help you do the same. All right. So last night for part of my homework, I'm gonna give the link to you. I'll share this in the group. I watched the documentary called The Power of the Heart. I've seen it probably 12 times. It's one of my favorite documentaries. And I just wanted to brush up on the stuff that I love to talk about. And while I was watching, you know how when you watch something over and over, you get new insights and new information and new ways of seeing things. Well, I was really surprised at all the new things that I saw after having seen it 12 times. And that's just based on my evolution, right? But they didn't talk about this, but the thing that they did talk about was the heartbeat, and the heartbeat being the governing process of our bodies. And then what that did was it sparked what we talked about yesterday with the enteric nervous system. And then I got this vision of like those piano metronomes that keep time. They keep perfect time while you're studying piano, staying on beat. And then I thought, the heartbeat being the center of the universe in my world is how I see it, is the governing beat, the rhythm, keeping the pace with all of the systems going on in our bodies in this beautiful unison. I mean, it's kind of magical when you really stop and think about it. The beating of the heart. And so having a relationship with this heart and being kind to it, and slowing down the heartbeat and just being really aware of the process is highly important for our health and well-being and our intuition, most definitely. So we have so many different systems going on in the body. We've got the circulatory, digestive, all you name it. The heart, boom, 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 keeps everything going. Such an important organ. Not only does it keep our bodies going and pumping the blood and doing all those things, it's also receiving that information and guiding us emotionally. So lots of power here. Okay, so I want to go into, if you don't have any questions or comments, I want to ask you guys though, what is your relationship with your heart? Do you take it for granted? Are you connected? Have you thought about this before? Or I think it's just a very common thing for us to take our hearts for granted, or to take all of our body parts for granted. I know I'm guilty of other body parts, not the heart, but all the other ones. So how is your relationship with your heart? Do you connect with it on a regular basis? Do you resonate with what I'm saying about your heart being connected to the wisdom of the universe? Do you sense that? Do you sense that to be true? Do you feel that? I'm just curious. So let me know. And then I want to move into talking about how to basically leverage the heart space. So we're going to talk about exercises and activities. I think the first most obvious thing, though, that we need to address, just like we did yesterday on the physical level with the gut system, is, taking probiotics, eating well, cleaning up your diet. It all matters. It's such an intricate system. Everything matters. So the same thing goes with the heart in having a healthy heart. So having a healthy heart diet, and then regulating our heartbeat. Like I said, you doing meditations. We're going to do a couple of heart exercises together so that you can slow down your heart rate. And when you do that, you are accessing your vagus nerve, you are calming your body, you are reducing anxiety, and see how this is all affecting. So one thing is a domino, and it affects the next thing. So if we start maybe at the center, we can affect all of it. we just pick one thing, we know that the rest of it is going to follow. The healing, the alignment that will just naturally happen. So we don't need to be overwhelmed with trying to activate everything all at once. If we just pick one place, our favorite spot, mine is the heart, then I know that by virtue of the vagus nerve, that information is going to travel both ways and I'm going to get healing everywhere, right? And so if you start in your gut, then, and you want to focus on that, then you can do the opposite. Then all of the energy can rise up and heal or regulate or get cohesive with each other, right? So one of the things that I teach and practice myself almost on a daily basis with regards to the heart and the intuition is a really simple heart test. So Debbie, though, she comments, more connected with my gut at the moment. We'll try to pay more attention to my heart. Great. So wherever you are, that's it. Honor it. Your gut is talking to you. It is talking to you. So pay attention. And as you heal your gut, your heart and everything else will follow suit, right? So I know a lot of people get a little, we have a tendency to value the systems. And I know I'm probably guilty because I keep calling my heart my favorite place. But I don't necessarily think that it's better. I just know that I'm wired that way. I know that the empaths are just completely wired at the heart space first. And then I know people who are very crown chakra wired, very third eye and crown chakra. Now I play with my third eye a lot in my work for sure, but it's not my primary. My primary is my heart. And when I'm talking about this, I know that it sounds like a judgment and it sounds like a hierarchy. And I'm trying to close the gap here and let us all know that we all favor one over the next, the stronger, like some people are right-handed, some people are left-handed. It's just that. And so I know that my heady people, my crown chakra people, are always wanting to get more in touch with their heart. And then the gut people are wanting to get more in touch with their heart. So I'm trying not to be so biased, although I am, but to know that they're all important, just like the chakras, the lower chakras are just as important as the higher chakras. Now, where do I play most? I mostly play in the higher chakras because they're more fun, right? It doesn't mean that they're better. That's just where my favor goes. So listen to your body. It's always talking to you where your primary processors are, and just love it. And then we can definitely evolve and grow and explore the other processing centers and use them more if we want to, if we choose to, right? But having an awareness of all of our processes, or at least the ones that we're aware of now, I'm sure there are more, awareness is power, right? And so then we can play with our intuitions more and heighten our intuitions and develop them based on our strong suits and then into the mysterious places for us, right? So it's all good. So thanks, Debbie, for that. So let's get back to that heart test. I've been doing this for years. I learned it from one of my initial teachers when I first started this process, Sonia Choquette. And it's a very simple test. It's perfect for the empaths. I don't even think we had the word empath back then when I started to study with Sonia, but she's definitely a heart-based intuitive empath, like myself. And so if you just put your hand over your heart, you can put both hands if you like, because our attention goes wherever we're touching, right? So we're just bringing our attention to our heart space. And this actually works for a lot of the crown chakra heady people, right? So we can ask. This is a nice way of creating cohesion between the head and the heart. So we can ask, if my heart knew the answer to fill in the blank, what would it say? If my heart knew where the best place for me to live, what would it say? If my heart knew the most aligned job for me, utilizing all my gifts and skills, what would it say? And then you just get quiet and you listen, or you feel, or you get a physical feeling, a physical sensation. So the way you process is entirely different for each of us, right? And that's my point here. We can do all of them, we can explore them, and we can grow them. So the heart test, very simple. You can do this anytime during the day with anything that comes up. There's, say you're at the grocery store and you see some food. Does this food serve my body? What would my heart say? And it's just a part of the whole process of asking. When we ask for guidance and we ask good questions, we're going to receive the information. One of the universal laws, is ask and it is given, seek and you will find, open the door, there it is. And so when we ask questions, so I am a very curious person. And so I am asking questions all day long. Is this good for me? Is this person truthful? Is this the best course of action to take? Is this the best? Is this client aligned with me? There are no questions too big or too small, and just go straight to the source. And sometimes you'll get an immediate answer. You'll hear it in your head, you'll see it in your mind, you'll feel it in your body, a yes or a no. You'll sense it in your gut, no, or that feels good. Joy, that's more of a heart, but feeling empowered, or yes, that's good, like that visceral yes feeling. So you may get that right away, and then it may be delayed. And so it's all good. A lot of times will just ask and then I'm off to whatever I'm doing because I know that the answer will come. I have all the faith in the world that the answer will come. And it will come to me when I'm not necessarily processing or thinking about it. It will just boom, pop in. And a lot of times that information will pop into the crown chakra space, or you'll get a feeling about it. However you process, but it will come. And so developing that trust and letting that stuff go is so good for your health and so anti-anxiety. I think that we live in a culture that just expects us to know everything and expects us to have the answers now or yesterday. And I just believe in a higher authority. I know that the answers are here, and we just need to provide an environment so we can hear or receive that guidance and that information, right? So let's talk more about heart coherence. So I am a big fan of the Heart Math Institute. The Heart Math Institute, I will provide a link for you guys. They do the scientific testing of the heart. And so say, they do the probes or whatever they're called, where they stick them on your brain and in your heart, and they can measure your heart rate, measure your body temperature, measure all your body functions when you meditate, when you go into a healing space, when you're seeing things that are scary or violent, etc. They just do a ton of testing around the power of the heart. They're actually I think maybe the creators of the documentary, The Power of the Heart, they're in it quite a bit. So I love science and I love having validation that backs up what the wise people have always known, right? It's just validation. But it resonates with me, the work that they do. So they focus a lot on heart coherence, which translates to taking the energy of the mind, the brain, the intellect, the uppers, and the heart. They don't talk much about the gut, but they probably will start. And unifying them, because what we do is we compartmentalize a lot. And so when we can unify and bring them together, then we can feel just a higher alignment to the guidance that we're asking for, or an alignment inwardly to what feels best for us. So I'm going to read to you what they have on their website, because it just encapsulates the work perfectly. So heart coherence is bringing your physical, mental, and emotional systems into coherent alignment. When you do that, you begin to experience increased access to your heart's intuitive guidance. Tuning into your heart's wisdom creates a profound shift within you that helps you approach situations, challenges with more emotional balance, compassion, clarity, and personal confidence. And then it gets on other people. And that's when the healing happens, right? And so their whole goal is to activate the heart of humanity. That's a huge, lofty goal, and I love it, and I totally back it up. If humanity really tapped into their heart space, we would just live in a different world, right? So, yes. And it does start with each and every one of us to develop that coherence, and to begin trusting ourselves. I think what happens is, and I see this a lot in my practice, and I've always known that all of us are intuitive, every single last one of us. I'm just way more practiced because I am obsessed with the whole topic. And the difference between me and a lot of other people are that I trust it. The thing that is happening with a lot of people is they have doubt. So their monkey minds, our cultural upbringing, everything kind of tells us that it's wrong and just shut it out, or you're too emotional, or you can figure it out and do your pros and cons list, all that other stuff. We have so many different processes that are more culturally acceptable, and to really white knuckle things and to figure things out. I like the softer approach. I like the heart coherence. I like to work in unison with all my systems, with this being the main, and getting the shortcut answer, getting the higher wisdom, right? So let's do it. Who's ready? Who's ready to do some heart coherent work? All right, so instead of unifying, or not unifying, but isolating our parts, we are going to unify them and make friends with all of them. And I did even more research yesterday on the vagus nerve, and one of the images that I heard from one of the teachers I listened to, I loved it. She described it as a blanket. Like the vagus nerve, it goes from the base of the brain all the way down to our root chakra, or our spinal column, our intestine, lower intestine. And it's branched out, and it just hugs and envelops all of our organs, including our heart, including our gut, our intestines. And so it's just like this warm network blanket that unifies everything. And so that communication that is happening is just going up and down, regulated by the heartbeat. So I just can see this perfect system, this perfect system. And the system is perfect when we provide a clean environment for it, you know. So this takes an effort on our part. I talk about energetic hygiene being equivalent to physical hygiene, same concept, you know. So we have energetic information coming in, doubt, fear, circumstances that can throw us off track and block us a bit. So it's in our best interest to just clean it up, to stay on top of that. How do we stay on top of that? You know what I'm going to say. Breath work, meditation, visualization, all the tools, right? We don't have to do them all and we don't have to make this hard, but and then awareness, like I say, is 99% of the cure. When we're aware that we got something on us that's blocking fear, doubt, self-loathing, whatever, anxiety, that we unpack it, we look at it, we learn from it, we heal it, we process it, we do whatever we need with it to do with it because it's here to tell us something. And then we release it. We release it, right? So that we don't have to continue to walk around wounded or in pain or blocking this beautiful system that really wants to guide us and show us the way. That's the part that humbles me. It's like, you know what? Even if my humanity has bad habits, which it does, we're human, we all do. We get in our way quite a bit. But when I know that my system, my heart, my gut, my brain, my mind, my spirit, all of these processes are the universe, my spirit guides. There's all these systems wanting to guide me and help me and evolve me and help me be my best self. Then I get really humble and I say, wow, okay, who am I to get in the way? I need to create that environment. I need to help the environment so that I can hear the guidance, so that I can feel it, so that I can connect better, so that I can get the intuitive hits, so that I can read the energy of people, places, and things and stay safe. So I can read the energy of people, places, and things so I can get the truth. You know, I always say words can be untrue, but energy never lies. And how do we receive that energy? Through the heart, and then we process. Lots of data going on here. So let's go ahead and do a heart coherence exercise. And this really, I love full circle stuff. This really speaks to activating the vagus nerve, right? And creating that calm, the parasympathetic nervous system, so that we can slow our bodies down. We can get our metronome in harmony and rhythm, and that we can hear, we can listen, we can feel, we can receive. So first thing you're going to do is get yourself comfortable. Let's go ahead and assume the position, a position that is comfortable to you. I like to have my feet on the floor, just feeling very grounded and solid. I typically put my hands on my knees when I'm sitting. I'll straighten up my spine, loosen up my neck, get myself into a receptive place, knowing that something cool is about to happen. Something good is about to happen. So I'm preparing myself. And that sends so many signals already throughout your system. It's like, oh, anticipation, this is going to be fun. So we're preparing the way. And we're going to start with putting your attention in on your heart. And again, you can touch your heart, or you can just visualize, imagine, sense your heart space. I like to touch it. And then we're going to slow down our breathing. And we're going to say, hello, metronome. Thank you for regulating my body. All of these functions and systems that are happening that I don't have to be conscious about. Thank you for handling all that stuff with such grace and rhythm. Okay, that was a little extra. So attention to the heart. And we're going to slow down our breathing. And this is the heart coherence method from the HeartMath Institute. And so they really just suggest getting into a breathing rhythm that feels good to you. It doesn't matter how long, no counting, just what feels right, what feels good, what feels intuitive. Just that it's slower and easier. So we don't get too caught up in that process because we're going to be busy doing other things. And so now we're going to unite or unify our head and our heart, and I'll show you how. So in your imagination or in your mind's eye or in your thoughts, think of a person or recall a situation that really musters up and generates feelings of love and compassion and joy and beauty. Recall that memory, recall that person, recall that situation. Could be a child, a spouse. Mine is always my grandma. She's always the one who pops in there for me. So I see my grandma. What do you see? What is there? Who's there? And as we have that snapshot, the memory, the recall, now we're going to bring that energy down into our hearts and we're going to muster the feelings, generate the feelings associated with that person or that situation. What do you feel when you think of that person? What emotional response does your body generate or sense or feel when you're thinking about that situation? We're thinking and feeling at the same time, creating unity, creating cohesion. And this is how we bring our head and our heart together. We think and we feel, we chew gum and walk. And just continuing to feel feelings, generate those feelings of peace, gratitude, that we have the capabilities to do these things, that we have dominion over our thoughts and over our emotions, and that we can direct them, redirect them, process, and make choices about what to do with all of this at any given moment, that we're never held hostage by any of this stuff. Coming into our power, coming into our sovereignty, our connection with divine wisdom, that intelligence that permeates the universe. It permeates our universe as well. Just take a couple of deep cleansing breaths. Go ahead and release that. And just be here, coming back into the Zoom room, into connection with all of us here. And so I just gave you 2 heart exercises that you can do anytime. And I'll give you a shortcut that is really good for quickie, intuitive connection. It's just simply hand on heart, breath. That's it. So when you start getting too monkey-minded or too caught up in maybe the energies around you, and you need to ground yourself back into your own energy and access your own energy and intuition, hand on heart, breath, done, easy. We're so wired and we have so many wonderful tools literally at our fingertips. So this isn't difficult work. This is intuitive work. It's easy. Spirit is just a breath away. Connecting with spirit, energy, God, source is just a breath away. It aligns us, it grounds us. So you can do that multiple times during the day if you choose to, if you need to, if you want to. And then use it when it is appropriate for you. All right. So the last thing that I have here as far as exercises go, I kind of already went over it with the heart test. But it's basically just asking for that guidance. Just remember to ask. So there's nothing that we can't solve, right? Everything, Marie Forleo wrote a book called Everything is Figure Outable. But that doesn't mean that we have to figure it out. That doesn't mean that we have to grind and write and struggle and strife. Everything is figure outable because we have an entourage of helpers and guides and guidance internally, externally, that is always speaking to us. And so when we connect with them and we make the relationships with them, then life just becomes so much more graceful. And then we start to remember, oh yeah, just ask. I don't have to get all bent about this. I don't have to feel anxiety about this. I don't have to worry about this. I can give this to my guides. I can give this to my higher self. I can give this to the universe. I can give this to God. Fill in the blanks of that higher intelligence that has carried you throughout this lifetime so far, right? So it always has, always was, always will be. And so leverage that, use that. We don't have to figure it out ourselves. We can just ask for the solution. We can ask for guidance, and then we receive it. And there are so many different tools that are available to us to receive that guidance, but that's for another time. We'll talk about those tools towards the end of the 5 days. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the uppers, the brain, the pituitary, the third eye, and the crown, all being like one unit here. And then well, I'll just stop there. And then for your homework today, I did mention when we were talking about coming here and doing this work to bring a journal. And then I forgot to talk about the journal yesterday. So I'm going to talk about the journal today. The journal is your friend. I keep journals all the time. And part of that, I think the helping the anxiety and relieving anxiety and connecting with our higher self and that higher wisdom and the heart space and all of it really helps if we write things down, right? And so we can write our questions down, and then we can say, thank you for the answer. Woo, I can't wait to receive that. That's going to be cool. It's probably going to come when I'm washing dishes or in the shower. It's usually, or driving the car. Those answers usually come to us when we're doing those kind of automatic things. We're wide open so that we receive, even in our sleep, in our dreams. So, but the problem with that is sometimes they're so fleeting and they're gone. It's like, what did I just dream? What did I just think? What was that? Oh, that was so good, I'll never forget that. 3 minutes later, you totally forget. So write it down. Record all of these insights, intuitive hits, the information that comes to you, the guidance, the nudges. Write it all down because it's talking to you. The universe, your body, your mind, your spirit is talking to you. Write the stuff down, capture it. And then in a few days, after, you can read it and you can start putting things together. It's like, oh, here's a common theme. Why does this keep coming up? That's interesting. And you'll start to see patterns. You'll start to see answers. You'll start to see the guidance that is right here for you that we miss a lot of, right? And the thing too, if we do miss it, it will come back. So I'm not coming from a place of lack or fear that we're going to miss it, but I like to stay on top of it. I just do. I don't want to necessarily wait. I'm maybe not the most patient person. And then another thing that you can use your journal for is to record those times in your life where I shared with you yesterday my whole big story about my relationship and those signs that kept coming to me. And it was like, what is this? Where, later on I got the proof that it was right and I was right to leave that relationship, or correct in leaving that. So write down those situations that have happened in your life that's like, oh man, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that. Write those down. Those are powerful. And the more we remember and recall those situations, the more we realize just how intuitive we already are and already have been. And now we can just practice this on a very conscious level with deliberation, with intention, and with the intention of expanding it and growing it so that we can use it more often, right? So that's what I got for you today. It's already 11. If there are no comments or questions, then we'll go ahead and close out. I will provide those links for you for Heart Math Institute and whatever else I talked about, and give you the exercises to do on your own. I'll leave all of that inside of our group. So please chime in the group and let me know how you're doing. Let me know what is resonating with you, what you might need more clarity about. I'm here to serve, so use me up. All right. All right, ladies, gentlemen, if there are any gentlemen here, just know that you were so wired so beautifully, more powerful than you can imagine. What is that one saying that I love that was inspired or inscripted on the Delphi stone? But know thyself and you will know the gods in the universe. We are connected. We are it. It is us. There's no separation, just the illusion of separation. So really understand how powerful you are, how amazingly wired you are, how your body serves you, and treat this vessel well. That's another part of your homework today. Treat your vessel well.